Besties by Caitlin, we spilling the tea. From Bravo to pop culture, got opinions for free. White refrigerator by wig, we scream. It's all happening like a mid-season dream. That's my opinion, yeah, I said what I said. Shady confessional, glam toast to my head. Champagne and tea, pour up the truth. Reality bites and we came with the proof. We're all besties here, no lies, no filter. Reading these shows like a guilty pleasure scripture. Cameras up in the drama for days. Hit play now to hear what your besties gotta say. I'm not really sure what I've done to you. I'm not really sure what I've done to you. I'm not really sure what I've done to you. But I'll take a Pinot Grigio. I'm not really sure what I've done to you.
Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me today. It is Wednesday, August 6th. How is it August? Every week I'm like, how did we get this far? I refuse to believe summer is almost over. Summer forever and ever and ever. Amen. Okay? I refuse. Now, the Valley, you guys, it's been a lot. It is a lot. The toxicity between these couples. What are we gonna do? Somebody do something. Because even Andy looks exhausted, y'all. If Andy's exhausted and he dealt with Vanderpump Rules for this long, he's exhausted. And I'm exhausted. My weave is exhausted. The panty liner in my underwear is exhausted. Gosh, R.I.P. Real Housewives of Dallas. Anywho, I mean, we could just get on into it. I have to forewarn you, I had an allergy attack, as in a sneeze attack, right before I hopped on here. So if I'm suddenly sounding like, I don't know, I'm about to sneeze, it's because I am. It's fun, isn't it? This time of year, my poor little guy has been just like sneezing in my face. Please, God, just let it be allergies. We haven't even started school, and no pre-K plagues here. Please, no pre-K plagues. Knock on wood, and do the sign of the cross. Anything help. I am going to forewarn y'all real quick. We will be taking a little family trip in 2 weeks. So after I finish up and wrap up the Valley Part 3 in a neat little bow, because it needs something, that's for sure, some holy water, I will not be recording that week, but I will be back. You can't get rid of me that easily. Trust me, people have tried very hard. Let's get on into it, shall we? Okay, it's just, I can't quite get over Jax putting the entire responsibility of keeping himself accountable in his own sobriety onto Brittany. Not only how he was trying to make it seem as though she's not taking his sobriety as seriously as he is by only testing him twice with the 100 kits drug testing kit. I mean, do you get that on Amazon? I'm sure you do. I bet you do. But having continuously blamed her for not somehow putting a stop to his behavior and his choices over the years. Let's just remember that. It's wild, my friends, how hard an addict will fight to not take full responsibility for their actions, but more so the consequences of their own, actions that come from their addictions. Anywho, at the very least, he has started going to AA. And I got to say that I wonder if his resistance to AA really was 2 reasons. One being that he believed he'd be recognized in meetings and didn't want to be seen that way or have to be vulnerable in front of people as Jax Taylor. Yeah, I'm Jax Taylor. Ever seen a show called Vanderpump Rules? Yeah, I'm kind of a Bravo leb. What's a Bravo leb? Oh, it's a celebrity, duh. And 2, he dumped Laura Lee outside that AA meeting, and I'll bet that he wanted to make sure that he didn't come back, that in particular, I should say, didn't come back to haunt him. Stay far away from the Hollywood AA meetings, Jax. We'll never forget. But he has sobriety and life coaches. Okay, we're working on it. He waxes on about how he's doing this for his son, even though he continuously lists his job, aka the show, first in his list of things that are most important to him. And Zach notes that Jax never says Cruz's name. That, to Zach, at least, is a sign of narcissism. I think there are so many things when it comes to Jax that are a sign of narcissism. Maybe it was getting Botox and fillers and a haircut before seeing his son after not seeing him for 30 days. Like I said, gal, I would have been foaming at the mouth. I would have been so feral. I would have become a wildebeest. I would have grown fur all over my body and quite literally would have had just like fangs and foam dripping from them. Someone would have had to put me on a leash to keep me away from my child. I probably would have scared my own child. You would have had to keep me from him. So that, my friends, was the true sign of the narcissism. I do have to say, though, Zach is a really great side member here during this reunion with the faces and the comments. I mean, the eye rolls, I love it. I love it. I love that. Jax is trying to spew the BS that Brittany can call him anytime she needs him because Jax is such a reliable rock and place of support for people. Now she lets him know she can't trust him because obviously it's Jack's whole coochie. She can't. He'll turn everything around on her to somehow pick a fight is part of why she can't trust him. So no, she cannot rely on him. Duh. And Zach attempts to make a point to Jax. But the thing is, Jax knows that Zach, he is Brittany's gay BFF. Honey, he knows everything. He has seen, heard, read, witnessed, and been informed of all of Jax's dirty, filthy, disgusting, deplorable little secrets and knows exactly who Jax is and what he has done to Brittany that even she has not admitted to everyone else. So he's scared to death of that 6'4" gay. And also, he will know forever that even with those lifts in his shoes, he will never be at eye level with Zachary Wickham because, well, he would need a step stool. We'll pat you on the head for that one, though, Jax. Anywho, he is very much obsessed with asserting his little dominance over him. It kind of reminds me a bit of, at the dog park when the Chihuahua is really angry at the Doberman for no reason. And the Doberman's just kind of chill because he's like, hey, I'm bigger than you. It's fine. But the Chihuahua won't shut up and get out of his face. That's Jax to Zach. Anywho, anything to put Jax down, you little minion of the Antichrist. So, of course, Jax tries to tell him he doesn't need to hear from the peanut gallery down there and to shut up because he's a chimer. It's also like Jax has his own language that only people who have watched Vanderpump Rules could understand. And I mean that in the way that as a parent, I am one of the only people that can understand everything. And no, I still can't even understand everything my own child says, but I understand most of what he says, And so, like, when it comes to toddlers, especially, it's mostly parents. Like, I don't know, like, my son will say, yesterday. And most people will be like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, no, he's saying yesterday. It's the cutest damn thing. If you ever stop saying it, well, when he stops saying it, I'll cry. But I don't think anyone else would understand that. It's kind of like how the Bravo fandom can actually understand that Jax is saying something. It's like we know what he's saying, even though what he's saying makes no sense. But it makes sense to us. And really, there's no Duolingo for the Jax stupidity. At least when toddlers do it, it's cute. Right? Anywho, thank you, Andy, for reminding Jax that Zach is Brittany's oldest friend and he can, in fact, chime in. And also, Jax, it isn't just your show. Of course, now it's not your show at all anymore, but he's on the poster as well. Ya ding dong. Okay? So, shut your stupid fly trap, Jax. Zach makes the point that every time Brittany has something positive and good going on in her life, that's always the moment Jax chooses to cause drama and problems. And guess what? Nothing about this surprises me. Jax's defense is that he has days where he wonders if he should divorce her or not. And somewhere he knows that they should. Oh, okay. So perfect. The days where you're just questioning if you're making the right decisions, absolutely. That means attack the people you love. Yep. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. And so in turn, what he'll do is he'll text Brittany asking if the divorce is the right move, which makes her emotional as she lets him know that is really freaking hard on her emotionally and mentally, and it screws with her brain. And Brittany, you're getting emotional here, and that's exactly what he wants. Don't do it. Stop it. suck those tears right back in, just like Jesse Lawley does. I think he needs to give you a lesson on that. Because here's the problem. Jax doesn't even actually want to be with you at this point, baby girl. I'm just going to put it in a very brash way. He's using you for emotional masturbation. He's getting off on seeing you care about him, but it's only about him getting off emotionally and not you. Okay? It's not fun. Not fun. Basically, it's, well, from what it sounds like, the way it's been your whole marriage in the bedroom. So this should sound familiar. Apparently, Brittany has been receiving screenshots of messages between Jax and other women where he's love bombing them and saying things like wanting them to move in with him. Now, y'all remember, Jax has always been a love bomber. He did it with Laura Lee. Oh my gosh, I just forgot her name. The cute blonde that he brought or tried to bring to Sheena's wedding, wanted to have her as his date, and he broke up with her in the pizza parlor. I just forgot her name. And yeah, she had no part of it. And he was trying to take her shopping to go get like a dress and shoes. But, I think she told him no because his card would have absolutely gotten declined anyway. Because when did Jax's credit card ever get accepted for a sale? Okay. Anyway, he's saying and doing all these things with other women as he's having bitch fits over her owning condoms, having safe sex, and wanting to count said condoms in her trash cans and drawers. So, okay, I'm sorry. Again, he wants to move where stranger, as in stranger danger women, into his home where he expects to have his son with special needs come spend nights with him. Jax, get the F out of here. You douche magoo lint liquor. I'm sorry. I just saw that meme again, and I will never, if you're a millennial, you cootie queen, you lint liquor. Wasn't that Orbit gum? That's what it was. It was an Orbit gum commercial. That was genius. Way back in the day. Bring those back. But don't worry. Oh, Jax isn't on his own. Poor guy. Jason, our little golden retriever for Jax Taylor, has come in to defend him like the good little guard puppy that he is, saying that if Jax has been using drugs and alcohol for 20 years and is suddenly sober, it'll take, like a minute for him to battle the anxiety and depression and, I guess, fully be sober. I mean, if Jax at this point, he said he'd been sober for, I think he said 156 days. That's half of a year, roughly. Yes, almost. So roughly 6 months. I say I don't know. I'm no expert. I don't want to give false information. But the conclusion is that Jax is dry drunk. I haven't heard of that before, but okay. I do find it so very interesting, though, my friends, that Jason and Janet are the crusaders for sexual assault, and claiming sexual assault is exactly what Danny did. And we've been over this. I'm not saying that's not what happened. Okay. But this is while Jason is simultaneously defending someone, Jax, who is not only an emotional abuser, but has clearly committed alleged domestic violence. That it's wild. Why is one okay to forgive and defend and the other not? Because before you even answer that, my friends, if you're saying it's about Danny allegedly continuing the behavior, Jax is blatantly continuing the behavior, okay? Because Jax had not only the drugs and alcohol, he also had the behavior that was due to drugs and alcohol, and then when he was sober. And now he's sober and still doing it. Either shut up or hold both people to the fire. Like, why are you giving this man, of all people on the planet, a pass? He is quite literally the last one to give a pass and the worst one to give a pass. So I think that tells me everything I need to know about Jason. And it makes me question anyone who's like, oh, but poor Jason. Why is he married to Janet? Obviously why. They work together. Okay. Brittany says that the therapist did inform them, we can treat depression, we can treat bipolar, but we can never treat narcissism. Well, there you have it. Andy brings up that Brittany has mentioned Jax berating her over what they have. Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Uh, I've lost my place in my notes. Excuse me. I must have been dozing off. Over what they have, over what has been said regarding fame and the show, and that she has everything she does because of Jax. Okay, guys. Okay. So Andy tells Jax that chances are if she had never met him, she'd be living in Kentucky married to some local doctor. In other words, Andy is saying she'd be better off, happier, and living a more stable life. I have to be so very for real about what Jax is about to be saying here because I feel some undertones are at play. One moment, please, because I have lots of thoughts. When Jax tells Andy, as he has just said, that Brittany would likely be married to some local doctor, he mumbles, probably a basketball player, after, Andy says all this, and that Jax claims that he doesn't think he was ever Brittany's type because of the supposed DMs Jax has been getting from her friends back in Kentucky. I believe Jax is trying to say that Brittany is not into into white men, and is trying to put her down for that. Now, here's the thing. I grew up in Oklahoma. I remember the way people would treat interracial couples even when I was in high school. And that was, early 2000s. And I'm certain it wasn't just the South or the Midwest that it was like this. So I genuinely believe Jax, at his big 48-year-old age, is trying to shame her for this. And, I think that Brittany most likely had people around her that would have side-eyed her for this because it still happens to this day. And you know what? It's it's just further proving what a piece of shit born out of Beelzebub's ass that Jax is. Okay? You know, I really think at the end of the day, Jax is just scared that Brittany is going to have a beautiful black man put her through that mattress after a decade of mediocre bed squeaking with his greasy face. And he just wants to find any way to shame her. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to call this what it was. And I have to also, well, I'm going to get to that. It's sounding like this was some girl in Jax's DMs claiming she worked at Hooters with Brittany. And apparently, this was debunked that this woman ever worked there, let alone with Brittany. And that, surprise, surprise, Jax is trying to make Brittany look like she dated Jax, who wouldn't be her type, to get on reality TV. And let me also be very real here as well. I 100% believe that him being on TV played a major role in Brittany being with him initially. Like, I do not believe she would have ever considered him if he wasn't, but she wouldn't have stuck with him to the point she did if that's all it was. I genuinely believe once he cheated on her with Faith, she could have been done. She had a spot secured on the show and could have done her own thing. So I genuinely will say, 10 toes down with my whole chest, if Brittany was only with him for that, she would have been done then. Okay. She would have been fine. She had everyone rallying around her. Okay. I do believe that girl I think she still loves him, which I'm not speaking on intelligence here. All right. The way they met, remember, was at a bar in Vegas, and Brittany reminds him that he came up to her and she wasn't reaching out to him, sliding into his DMs or anything like that. So nice try, Jax Hole. Jax confirms he started using drugs in '01 when he lived in Miami and was modeling. And since everyone's chiming in about how old we were when he was getting into this, I was barely 13, going to a private Christian school. I was on the junior high cheer squad. And yeah, duh. We all could tell Jax was blitzed out of his mind while filming VPR, and Andy asks him what he thinks when he watches back. Now, Jax, because he wants to come off as, I'm such a good little boy now, starts saying that reading the comments, it's easy to start being disgusted with yourself and seeing how sweaty and gross he was and But Brittany's like, no, you may feel that way now, but you always were in love with yourself. And she also says that when she would go to dinner with him, he would leave her at the dinner table every 10 minutes to go do pasta parm in the bathroom. Y'all, listen, that I spent a decade in LA. That has never been my jam, just not my thing. So I don't know often how often you do that, I guess. What's it doesn't come in a prescription bottle, so I don't know how often you take that, but that seems like maybe excessive, my guess, of anything, any substance. How does he have a nose still? I hear I've heard of people's like nasal cavities collapsing. That's horrifying. But that also explains the multiple nose jobs. So anyway, Brittany admits, yes, of course she has tried the stuff herself. She says she'd never seen it until she'd been around Jax. Oh yes, and Carmen was the name of the girl. I want to tell y'all I have my I don't want to say intern assistant. I'm working with Lexi. I've told y'all I mentioned Lexi before, and Lexi is sitting in on recording today, and she reminded me Carmen was the one that Jax dumped in the pizza parlor. Carmen. I liked how she would give Jax shit, but anyone who dated Jax at all, I do question sanity. Anywho, yes, but Brittany has been stressing that people think she would have some sort of an issue with the pasta parm herself, and I don't think that it's been like a strong narrative of people thinking that about her personally. I uh, I haven't thought that, I guess. So maybe that's why I'm not believing that. I have seen a few people question it, but of course she most likely has done some of it with him, but I haven't seen her display any type of characteristics, at least not the way Jax has. My God. Brittany having to apologize for Jax constantly being a prick and a piece of shit because she was his wife is what she was truly done with and sick of protecting him and cleaning up his messes. But it's a reminder that Jax was diagnosed with BPD before they ever filmed The Valley. And he got a prescription. Yeah, never got it filled. But now he's medicated and claiming that it's life changing for him. Which, listen, y'all, if you're diagnosed with anything like that, taking the prescribed medication that works for you properly, and there are different types of medications. Not every single particular one works for everyone, but doing it properly, getting therapy, it can absolutely make your life more manageable, livable, and really as close to normal. I mean, normal is a relative term, but make life better. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But the problem here is that when Jax will start issues up with Brittany, he'll then give the excuse that he didn't take his bipolar meds that day, which is not how it works. And all it takes is a simple little Google, my friends, because missing one dose isn't likely to cause any issues, but missing multiple will likely cause a relapse. So he's a dirty, filthy, rotten little liar trying to make her feel bad for him that he has to take bipolar meds or something. I don't know. I'm so over him and so ready for him to go. God, get out of here, Jax Taylor. I'm so sick of you. Kristen tells him he needs to seek the tools out from a therapist when he's seeking these controlling behaviors and being a creep and looking at the cameras like a fucking psychopath, getting angry. Call Kristen herself, Luke. But he tries to pull the when you effing hate me, Kristen card. And Kristen doesn't take it because she's like, no, I hate what you do to Brittany. I don't hate you. Zach, however, is at the end of the sofa there and he mumbles, I effing hate you. Now Jax wants sympathy for not being invited to Kristen's baby shower after being in her life for 20 years. Okay, wait, guys, here it comes. Hey, flying in the mini sympathy orchestra for Jack's whole coochie. And here is the montage of him being part of the group and missing that. But he's such a piece of shit. So yeah, we're going to try and make the audience feel sorry for him. It's not going to work. Oh, shit. Well, he's getting fired this week anyway. It's fine. Yeah, now it's all about how we feel sorry for him. Self-sabotaging every good thing in his life. You are at a big old damn age where you are too old to be pulling this shit, Jax. I don't care. I'm tired of being angry at someone I don't know. I have plenty of people I know I could be angry at. Jason is asked about whether, oh, not, yeah, no, Jason, I'm sorry. Jason is asked about whether his perspective on Jax changed after watching back the show. And he literally doesn't give an actual answer because he's like, no, I'm a good boy. That's my bestie. I'm his guard dog. He just brings up the stupid FaceTime call he had on camera with Jax, where he thought he was being genuine about seeing the light while he was in rehab. And Brittany has to give recall that the very next scene was Jax manipulating her from rehab about having to go to the hospital with high blood pressure. What I would love to do is compare. Do a blood pressure reading on Jax in that moment and do a blood pressure reading on Brittany whenever she gets a text from Jax at any time, but especially when he was in rehab. I will bet money, good hard cold cash, okay, that her blood pressure was likely higher than his. Anywho, when he was texting the producer about listening to her conversation with his sister, and Brittany asks Jax if he sees now that she did the right thing, forcing him to go to rehab after he spent all this time blaming her for every loss of opportunity and having to go. It's wild. I've, how do I say this? I've had people, not myself, in my own life who I love dearly, who have experienced this with someone they loved, that they had to send to rehab. And they quite literally experienced almost the exact same goddamn thing, where the person they sent was calling them, texting them, not texting because they couldn't text because they went to a real rehab, you see. Um, you know, and they did the exact same thing. And it's really interesting how finally they do come around and how by the time they come around, they don't see that they have completely lost the person who loved them so much to send them there. It's really fascinating how little matters to them, but well, the disease that they cling to. And it's sad, but I don't know. It's the family. It's a family disease, and it's the family that suffers the most. Just it's infuriating. And I rage every time I recap the valley. But don't worry. After this episode, just one more to hear me screaming into a microphone. Then I can scream into the microphone. Maybe about Tamra Judge. That. Anyway, okay. I tried to lighten it before we went down a notch here because it's sad. Anywho, he does. Okay, he does see it. That it had to happen. It admits that he needed someone to blame, but that if he hadn't gone, he likely would not be on this earth any longer. And Brittany says that was her biggest fear, was finding him somewhere OD'd, essentially. Honestly, after hearing how much of it that he was doing, I'm genuinely shocked that Jax has made it this far without some sort of incident. And I think instead of sitting there going, F my life, woe is me, woe is I, he needs to take a fucking look in the mirror and say, I am so goddamn lucky. Number one, that I am still alive and have not had an OD incident, have not had anything be mixed in that could have killed me, and that I am even allowed to still see my son and be in the same room as him. I think he needs to really gain some perspective because he is incredibly blessed to even have those things and even have anyone in his life still after all the shit he's pulled. Ooh. But yeah, anyway, Jax is crying now, and Andy throws him a bone that after the many years of doing these reunions with Jax, this is the most accountability he's ever seen Jax take. But Brittany I can tell she's been in therapy and I'm proud of her for it. Okay. No matter how you feel about her, continue to bear in mind that she is a woman with a child leaving an abusive relationship and doing it in front of an audience. She's on top of it. Okay. She says that she worries the accountability being displayed is performative and that while she hopes it's not, she can't trust that 2 days from now he won't be rage texting her and screaming at her. Jax is bullshitting some more about not talking negatively about Brittany or something and won't even look at her as he's saying all this crap. So Kristen calls him out on not even looking her in the eye. And it's like he's kind of trying to apologize or something. And you know what? It's fascinating because he didn't even take 2 full breaths. So Brittany didn't even have to wait 2 full days because he's yelling at you already, Britt. Guess, yeah, don't even have to worry about being patient for that one. He's immediately yelling at her after she's like, he hasn't even looked at me this whole time. Because he goes, because I'm embarrassed and ashamed of who I am. Because, right, that's her fault. It's her fault that you're embarrassing and should be ashamed of who you are. Okay. She lets him know he needs to look her in the eye if he's giving a genuine apology. And oh my forking God. Now Jax is crying more that it's so hard to sit at home by himself every night when Brittany knows and says as much that he is not at home alone every night. He is with rando women while she is the one caring for their child. Oh my God. Now he's so sad that he lost all his friends. And they let him know that is his own fault. He has not lost all of his own friends. You've got Jason sitting there freaking just wagging his tail for you while Jesse is also sitting there being your little buddy. You live next door to your goddamn bestie, but also why would anyone want to be friends with you, Jax? Why? And then Andy, God, Daddy, I love you so, so much. Daddy, I love you, but I really don't know why you asked this. Why? You asked if Jax is still in love with Brittany. Okay, well, why didn't you just go ahead and light a cigarette and put it out on Brittany's arm? That would have been the same. Okay, he can't answer the question because just fuck my life. I just can't be vulnerable right now. It's just too hard. And now he and Brittany are both crying. It's hard to leave someone when you love them. It's easier to leave when you're done. I know. I get it. And I feel for her. But goodbye. Goodbye. I'm done with both of you right now. Okay. I need a break. Now we move on to sweet Cruz and his autism diagnosis. Cruz had lots of early milestones. And I want to say, first of all, this is actually really fantastic that Brittany is talking about this. I want to say I love that she's giving this information and she's wanting it to be something that isn't scary. I think autism has become something that so many parents are fearful of. And that's the thing is I was actually talking to my parents about this the other night, that we know so much more about the spectrum because that's the thing. It's a spectrum. There are so many different forms, different ways of functioning. It's not the thing to be feared. And, things like, oh my gosh, Love on the Spectrum. It is such a wonderful show. I love that show. It is amazing. I really appreciate Brittany talking about this because I love the way she's doing it. She's not sitting there sobbing, being like in this place of this is a death sentence because it's not. He still has a beautiful, a chance at an independent, wonderful, successful life. And I think so many people have that fear that it's doomsday from there, and it doesn't have to be. So she talks about how Cruz had a lot of early milestones like speaking, crawling, walking, and it all came to a halt when he was around 2. That's when Brittany noticed he was stimming and would do self-soothing things like pushing on his chin when he was overstimulated. And I also want to say right here, right now, if anyone on YouTube, first of all, join the comments, like the video. Love you so much. But if you start doing the anti-vaxxer shit, get the fuck out, go home. This is not the place for you. Okay. I We do vaccines here because it is about protecting my child and the people around me. Okay. It's about more than just me and it's about more than just you. Okay. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Love you. Mean it. Toodles. Anyway, Brittany was going through the diagnosis process with Cruz while Jax was in rehab. And Jax keeps trying to pretend, let's be real, like he actually cares, that he was such a piece of shit to her during that time. And thank God, Brittany had her mom when he was in rehab and she was going through the entire process because I don't know if you noticed, but I at least to me, I almost felt this callback to when Tamara had claimed she was on the spectrum after one singular hour. Well, anyone who's been to therapy, you know, it's 50 minutes long. It's never an hour, but 50-minute appointment with her therapist, the first appointment. And Brittany says it was hours and hours of time spent before Cruz was diagnosed and how much she appreciated that they didn't just willy-nilly diagnose her child after one appointment. I think that I'm not going to presume, but I found it interesting. Okay. I don't know that Brittany paid that close attention to Tamara Judge saying that, but who knows? Okay. Maybe she did. But Jax just like, I don't know, he just keeps going on about trying to be a good person after 48 years. And honestly, Kristen is about to keel over because she has to pee so bad. And to be fair, sweet baby Kaya in Kristen's uterus is just kicking her bladder, begging anyone to tell Jax to shut the F up. So Kristen just hustle waddles off to go pee because God bless her. Fantastic. Okay, now we're moving on to the other two toxic AF and unlikable pair, Jesse Michelle. And whether or not Michelle cheated on Jesse for the millionth effing time. You guys, I don't know how we're going to make this 3 parts unless the third part of this reunion is just cooking Janet up in the crock pot on whether she's a fan or not. I don't know what else. Because if we have to go back to these two and then to Brittany and Jax, I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say it's dramatic. I'm going to say something dramatic and then still watch it and talk about it. Never mind. Jesse says that he and Michelle sat with one of their close friends and that Michelle claimed she didn't cheat on him and didn't want him bringing that up on the show. To which her friend said, oh, no, she did cheat on Jesse, though. And Jesse then claims Michelle was blushing. And that's when the whole thing of her and a friend going out with some guys at one point that led to her kissing one of them was revealed. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, yes, that's cheating. And Michelle can deny that that's how the conversation went. But if that's the fact of it, then yeah, that's the fact of it. I don't know how it matters how much. I don't know. They frustrate me, you guys. It's like listening to that toxic high school couple fighting. Okay. That's really, anyway, I don't know how it matters. I don't know if it matters much how this conversation went or how it came about, if that is the truth of the matter. Yes, Michelle, you cheated. Okay. I'm sorry, babe. You did. Jesse, you're a prick. But Michelle, also, you cheated. So Michelle says that Jesse knew way before filming and brought it up during filming so that he could turn the audience against her and shame her. And yeah, that he did do. So y'all both suck. Honestly, my God, because the way he spoke to her in Napa or wherever the hell y'all were, wine country, I don't know. Also, what you did was shitty too, Michelle. I mean, Jesus Christ. Mary, Joseph, and Andy Cohen, Nene Links, someone. You two should never be together, but you also deserve each other. I don't know. Anyway, Jesse says that when he and his girlfriend were in New York City, he got 2 texts from Michelle. One being that she would go on social media and try to destroy his girlfriend's life. And also that she will destroy her for who this girlfriend is. Okay. Or I'm sorry, we'll try and expose the girlfriend for who she is. All right. Who is she? Oh, wait, I did hear something. Wait, okay. Allegedly, this is what I heard. Allegedly. So stupid. I allegedly heard she's like one of those flat earthers, but I don't even know. Don't send me a cease and desist. It's stupid. Flat earth being flat. It's just silly. Okay. Anyway. Oh my God. But this is when the cease and desist business started. It's now a back and forth about whether each of them went on dates with other people while they were married. How was that even a conversation? I mean, okay, whatever. It's wild that to me also that Michelle, whenever Brittany and Jax were going back and forth, was like, they're not even together anymore. Neither are you and Jesse. Oh my gosh. And then God bless Kristen, just as she hoofs it back in and plops her 36-week booty on the sofa, Andy immediately goes, Kristen, you said Michelle had a boyfriend for a year last season. And the look on her face, she's just like, Jesus Christ, Andy, suck a dick. Really, Andy? Really? 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 They're all laughing like, welcome back. And Andy's asking who Kristen was talking about last year since it wasn't Aaron who was this quote unquote boyfriend, alleged boyfriend. And Kristen says Michelle was seeing someone, which Michelle denies, but Kristen ignores it and says that it wasn't Aaron. And all Michelle did was ask her what she knew about Aaron and to ask her friends if Aaron was a good guy. So was Michelle asking Kristen to ask Jenna if Aaron was a good guy? Because you guys, that makes this even more ridiculous. If she was getting pissed that Jenna was around, because as far as we've known, the only connection to Aaron is Jenna. Oh my God. Guys, I can't. Okay, whatever. Michelle says then that regarding the person she was seeing that wasn't Aaron, that it was somebody that finally gave me attention. A lot happened in my marriage. I'm sorry. And again, okay, so yeah, you cheated more than once, Michelle. What the hell? I don't know how many ways you can spin it at this point. You either leave or work it out. You found a way to leave now. So I don't, Jesus freaking. But Jesse is on a soapbox about how Michelle knows cheaters. Cheating are his one thing he just cannot with. And she now accuses him of sleeping with a married woman as soon as she asked for a divorce, which is apparently his ex-girlfriend, whose name starts with the letter A. And he says she hasn't been married for 25 years, but she tells him, no, this woman is married. And remember last episode, my friends, where I said, Jesse's tell, whenever Michelle cooks him on a fact, he will just go, okay, and roll his eyes with those eyelashes that men do not deserve to have. Why is it always a man that is given eyelashes like that? I need to have a conversation with someone. Absolutely not. They do nothing with them. Anyway, he rolls his eyes and dismisses her, usually crosses his leg and looks immediately at Andy like, I'm going to talk to the man in the room, not the emotional little female. And that's exactly what he did. He just goes, okay, well, so I think she's telling the truth. Also, dead, that when we're back from break, Janet tells Jesse his pants look a little cheap as he tells her they're super expensive. Sir, they look like a sofa from the 70s. I don't know what to tell you about that either. Did the pants have a jacket that matched them with a complimenting pussy bow and ruffled chiffon blouse? Did they also come with really thick framed glasses? And did it come with a really bad British accent and maybe a bright gold gigantic gun and a bald evil supervillain you had to defeat? Just wondering. God, you guys, I'm exhausted of the Michelle and Jesse shit. Like, honestly, what do I do? I guess I could turn it off, but where's the fun in that? So Luke apologizes for being involved in the drama of the stuff between Michelle, Jesse, and Aaron. Catching Aaron with another woman or whatever, was brought up, which gets glossed over. It's like this group just, it's like their ADHD collectively is worse than mine. So I that's why this reunion was really hard to take notes on. Okay, now apparently after Jasmine asks Michelle if she emotionally cheated on Jesse, we find out that Michelle and Aaron would meet up at Runyon Canyon. Ah, great. Jesse was right. And he would tell her about the girls he was dating while she would talk to him about her and Jesse's marriage. And Isabella would be like, there playing? What? Come on. And Jesse's calling that wildly inappropriate as she yells at him that if he wants to talk about being wildly inappropriate, that he told a client they shared that he would cunnilingus her. I'm sorry. We are missing way too much context on that one. And yes, Michelle, it was inappropriate to have meetups like this with Aaron while married. But also, Jesse, you did what? What? You you did what? I don't know why in my mind my mind is begging for him to have been making a joke and being like a total douchebag because he is such a douchebag. I could see him make a joke like that, but also like what an inappropriate douchebag joke to make. But it seems so on brand for Jesse that it's making me laugh. But also it feels misogynistic on my end, but I'm also laughing. God, I need to take a look in the mirror. But also, my fucking God, I could explain to my 4-year-old Michelle that it would be weird for mommy to go hang out with a single man while mommy is married. And for this random single man that doesn't know daddy to talk to me about his dating life and for mommy to talk to single man about mommy and daddy's marriage, no, he would know that would be weird. What is so hard about this to grasp? Anyway, Jasmine cracks up and claps at the chowing down downtown aspect. She's like, oh, woo, get that sale. I mean, I don't know. Jesse didn't really answer if you got that sale. Did you get that sale? And did you have to? Did you do it? Did you do it? Oh boy. We're on to what Zach had said at the bar last year about Janet. Okay. Kristen says that Janet rather that the Janet she was friends with is not the Janet that shows up on the Valley because the one that she was friends with, she could say a million nice things about. And that's the thing, because I have people I know that are friends with her who are truly wonderful people. And if they're friends with her, it genuinely is hard for me to reconcile who I see on TV being friends with these people that I adore. So I don't know. I want to believe at this point that Janet is quite literally two different people because she really frustrates me. But I'm also going to say, I'll say it every single time because I will still go in on Janet, but I will still continue to say every single time the hate messages that she has been receiving are disgusting. And get a fucking life. Go knit a sweater or punch a goddamn pillow before you scream into it. If your feelings are so big that you can't do anything with it but be gross, because even my toddler knows to make a fist like this and go like that, punch a pillow, scream into it, and blow bubbles, blow a pinwheel. Do something with your big feelings that even a toddler knows what to do with, okay? Anyway, wow. Jesse actually has Kristen's back here. He says that when it comes to Janet, he's like, yeah, I can see this. I'll have fun with her cracking jokes, but then he'll be watching her just resurface things that don't need to be brought up again. And he uses the Michelle and Kristen conversation at El Coyote as an example of how Janet just inserted herself, like bombarded it unnecessarily, which exactly, Michelle is Michelle. Janet is a meddler. And Jason then says when he watched the show back, what he saw was 80% of this side of the room, meaning Kristen, Luke, Danny, and Nia, just talking nonstop about his wife. Okay, well, then that side of the room could look at y'all and say, your wife spent all her time talking about us because she has nothing better to do. That's the problem. Janet herself alone, no offense, but also offense. Not that interesting. What else does Janet have going on that does not involve getting involved in other people's shit? Nothing. Back to Zach and what he said at Jax's bar opening. He doesn't remember because he was blackout, and he admits that he was told he said he wanted Janet to, and here is a trigger warning. So I'll take a breath and let you hit the skip for 30 seconds if you need to. That he wanted Janet to miscarry. Yeah, that is fucked up. Okay. And here's the thing, Zach. I completely understand how difficult it can be to eat crow. I get how much you despise Janet, but this right here, I don't love how you're handling it. I know this is a new world for you, but this is the moment you say, while I don't recall saying this, there is no excuse. And no matter what I was angry with you for in the moment or what led up to being so angry with you, there is no defense for that statement ever being made. I will apologize again, even if it's the 5 millionth time, and say that it doesn't matter, that I would never mean those words. Something like that should never be thought, let alone spoken out loud. And I'm truly so very sorry, whether that specifically was said or whether anything along those lines was even said. Period. Just immediately say there's no excuse and that it doesn't matter, that you've apologized already. Just do it the F again. Zach, though, is trying to say that he wasn't saying this thing coming at Janet, as in to her, but rather in a conversation to Brittany, that it was more so a private one. But Jason says he heard it was a tirade that Zach went on and got kicked out of the bar for it. And Brittany's like, well, it was an out of character night for Zach, and that it did happen. And Janet asks Zach, well, are you sorry for it? Okay, Janet, this is why it's so hard. You get opportunities. This would have been an opportunity to be like, Zach, that was a really painful and cruel thing to say. And I know you've apologized, but I really need to hear contrition here. Anywho, but Zach comes back at her very defensive and combative, saying, I absolutely am sorry for that. And I've told you that. But she points out that apparently he'd been saying behind her back that she doesn't suck dick. I'm sorry. I don't know why that one thing is so funny. You guys, like, I guess, like, so for a gay man, I guess that is an insult. Like, because I don't know, like, to me, if I'm like, that girl doesn't suck D, I'd be like, and congrats to you. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. Bear with me. I'm trying to find the nightlight in this dark room right now. Okay. Because this is, okay. I'm just an idiot. Anyway, Janet does say that Zach doesn't seem sorry, but Zach tells her it was over a year later and then says she called lawyers on him. But what the hell could she call lawyers on him for? That was a disgusting thing to say and so gross. In fact, to be honest, y'all, I don't know if you remember, I didn't recap on this podcast, but I was recapping this on Giorgio's podcast last season. And I was very much saying I did not believe Zach said this. I stood up for him and said I didn't believe he would or did say that. But still, sounds as though he absolutely did. Now, that said, it's not exactly something you can call an attorney to do something about unless he threatened you, but that's like a police phone call, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, now Janet tells him maybe he shouldn't drink in excess where he gets blacked out. Well, okay, miss, I lost 70 pounds doing Pilates and Adderall while on the spinoff show of on the spinoff of the show. That Adderall did not mean Adderall, but okay. I'm wondering if Zach has apologized even more times than we have seen, because even Andy seems exasperated by Janet kind of like rebuking him even more. I don't know. Because he's just like, okay, can we just move on? I don't know. I don't think Andy likes Janet, maybe. But I also don't think Andy loves Zach all that much. I think he gets kind of annoyed by him. But Janet says she needs to see some changes from Zach. And I mean, the finale definitely left something to be desired from both of them being kind to each other and friends in any capacity. And this is when the finale is brought up. And Janet feels like Zach was just blaming her for the rift in his friendship with Brittany when Brittany wasn't happy with the comments he made while Janet was pregnant. But really, yeah, it's been said by multiple people, y'all, that Brittany was consistently sticking up for Janet when anyone would be like, Brittany, Janet's being an asshole. So Zach goes, I don't know what voodoo witchcraft Janet does, but, and that's when Janet goes, maybe I'm just nice and a good friend to Brittany. And everyone's just like straight up rolling their eyes. And wow, Luke says it's hard to hang out with Zach sometimes. Like, love you, dude. I'm closer with you, but it's not hard to hang with you how much Janet's name comes up. Y'all, I have had a friend like this. Oh my God. God bless her. I'm not even going to say the name she would say over and 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 over to the point where another friend and I had to be like, if you say that name again, swear to God, swear to God. Some people are just dogged once someone gets under their skin. But Brittany's now just doing the whole, I love you all so much, except for you, Jax. I fucking hate you. But the rest of you, I love you all so much equally. You're all such good friends to me. But Zach is saying that Janet told Brittany not to hang out with him. And when Janet asks Brittany if she ever told her not to hang out with Zach, oh, well, Janet, the voodoo doll, honey, she needs to have some spell work revamped because oops, Brittany says no, there were actually a couple times that Janet got onto her for hanging out with Zach. Janet. And then apparently on Brittany's birthday, Janet had posted a like, happy birthday, Brittany, on Instagram. And then she got pissed at Brittany for hanging out with Zach on her own birthday. So she took it down. Oh my God. Janet? I gotta say, that is the type of move only a my country 'tis so thee would pull. And I don't know that I have called anyone on these shows that. What? I only sang a song. What are you talking about? I sang a song. God, go call your attorney. Anyway, Janet, they have been friends forever. But apparently it was because Brittany hadn't informed Janet. Did she need to give you written, like, I don't know, a 30-day notice? Like like you're her employer, needed vacation time to hang out with a friend of hers from like high school? Wow. Wow. To be honest, Janet, at that point, it's not really your business. That's something for you to go have a conversation with her later. I understand to a certain extent why you'd be like, Brittany, babe, what's going on? But for you to be so petty to take down a birthday post. Okay. Janet claims that Brittany was mortified by what Zach did and said, and that she had said she was never speaking to him again. And Brittany tells Zach she loves him, they're good now, and reminds him she was upset, but it's all okay now. So it does sound like probably Brittany was saying that. And it sounds like Brittany was very fired up between everything going on with Jax, and I don't know. She was overly emotional, most likely. I'm not giving her an excuse, but still. Kristen admits that she thinks Brittany is a good friend to both Zach and Janet, but that she is harder on Zach and will let Janet talk more shit on Zach and Kristen and all of that. But Janet's now going to claim she doesn't talk shit on Kristen and Zach to Brittany. But Kristen, no, she's not letting that fly because obviously Brittany's told her everything. Apparently, Janet has also made Brittany cry and will constantly ask Brittany why she's with Zach or Kristen. And now Zach is trying not to cry as those eyebrows are so far back into his forehead. The Botox is working, baby. Oh my God, you guys. It's now back to twiddle twit and twiddle twat. Obviously, Jesse's twiddle twat. And yeah, Jesse calling the mother of his child a hoe is super shitty. And now he has to worry about his daughter, who is just the most beautiful, precious thing ever. seeing that someday. But apparently he couldn't conclude that himself because, according to Michelle, his clients have had to call him and tell him that his daughter will see that someday. But don't worry, Jesse's not giving Bobos for Zelle money. I don't know. That whole thing mostly had Jasmine wondering, why are the gays being brought into it? Let's take a little break before we get into Danny's drinking, because we haven't talked about that enough this season, have we? Right, Danny's drinking. And what his thoughts are with how his drinking was so hammered on about, while Jax was the one going to rehab for drinking and pasta parm. But apparently, Jax was going into the season proclaiming he would be going after Danny, which Jax apologizes to him for. And you notice he has no problem looking Danny in the eyes as he does this. Brittany, he can't, because he did so much worse and then some to her. But before this show started filming, Danny and Nia were good friends to Jax. And then also during filming this show, they were such good friends to him that they would check in on him while he was in rehab. So, okie dokie, Jax, you really want to sit there and cry about not having friends when, yeah. Nia calls out Jax for telling them that he didn't feel that he got a good edit during season 1. Jax, when have you ever gotten a good edit? I'll tell you when. Never, because you've never given them anything to edit that was good. See how that works? Anywho, and he felt as though Danny and Nia got too good of an edit season 1. And then this is when Jax claims that he heard that Danny and Nia were, quote unquote, protected. Who the fuck did Jax think they were? Diplomats? Politicians? I mean, protected? What is wrong with you? Nia's like, dude, we don't even know anyone at Bravo. Nice try though, hun. Okay. Danny's very emotional about how he wanted to be friends with Jax and cared about him so much. And that Jax just rubbed his face in the dirt, trying to ruin his character and his marriage. And Jax just keeps giving very quick over and over, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, I don't know that you'll ever want to be my friend again and that tomorrow or whatever. I'm sorry. And Danny taking the swig in the pantry is brought up. So Andy asks if Danny was trying to hide from the cameras, Nia, the group, or what. Danny admits it was mainly from the cameras after what Jax had said about his drinking. And Nia admits herself that there are times, no, she's not happy with who Danny is when he drinks, but I love who he is, his character, who he is as a person. All right. Yes, we check in about the alcohol, and in the moment when the alcohol is flowing, he may not be able to be as transparent with me about what's happening with these check-ins, but the next day, yes, there are conversations had. And this is the moment when Jason has to jump in. It's basically that he says, yeah. You guys are perfect. Fine. You're better than me and Janet, but I hate that. So here's what I'm going to say. My issue is, instead of taking accountability, it's like, where's the boogeyman? Where's the scapegoat I can blame all of this on? It's actually Janet's fault. Jason, this is not your Tom Cruise, oh my gosh, the military legal movie that I just forgot the name of, moment with Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth. This is not that moment. Okay. It's not. You are not in a courtroom. Get over yourself. Oh my God. This is okay. Jason, be so for real. Be so for real right now, bro. They were not ever once blaming Janet for what Danny did or his drinking. They blamed her for what came out of her mouth repeatedly on multiple occasions. He asks them to articulate what Janet has actually done wrong to them. Nia's like, oh, I'm happy to tell you. You know what? We really loved you so very much as friends, but it was the place Janet was coming from, not concern. In spite of what Janet is trying to say right now, where she did have the conversation off camera last season, and Nia's like, yes, you did come from a good place. Okay. Back then. Okay. Now, Nia hits the nail on the head, which is that Janet is the only one perpetuating the conversation when the people involved were done with it. That's what it was. And thank you, Lexi, A Few Good Men. I kept thinking Shawshank Redemption. You can't handle the truth. Okay, anyway. But yes, everyone else was done with it. Most importantly, it was Jasmine and Melissa saying, stop talking about it. They didn't want to relive it. They were done. They were over it. Stop fucking talking about it. You are ignoring the people it happened to. Sorry, stop yelling, Caitlin. Jesus Christ. But that's what Jesse was saying you do, Janet, that you continually keep running your mouth about bullshit when it's been deaded. Jeez. Janet really thinks that calling Danny Darko instead of Darkside Danny was so like clever. Oh my God. But like, okay, hon, it triggered Danny. And yeah, okay, Jason, you're right. It is easier to be triggered when you're drinking. But yeah, also, Nia's right. It is going to trigger someone when they're being called names. So tit for tat, whatever, you guys. God. Anyway, Danny doesn't remember any of the Halloween incident, and his side is that he woke up on the sofa the next day, and he's explaining that a couple of days later, Brittany called Nia telling her what he had done to Jasmine and Melissa. And Jason is over there seething at Danny while he's speaking, but Janet whispers to him that Danny knew a couple of days before this, right? And Danny says he immediately reached out to Jasmine, but Jasmine's like, no, you didn't. Nia did. And Nia's like, no. Danny has messages where he reached out the same day he found out. So Nia had called and checked in with Jasmine, but Danny texted the same day. I mean, it sounds like Jasmine was at the airport. And here's the thing. Should Danny have been the one to call her? Yes. Should he have gone ahead and done it and not sent his wife in to do it? Yes. I love them, but yes. It also does sound like because he did that, then he knew maybe he couldn't get a hold of Jasmine after that and just sent the text, but he should have been the one to go ahead and call her. It's a scary thing to do, those type of things, but when you do something like that, you gotta bite the bullet. Sorry. Jasmine says that when she and Melissa sat down with Danny at the white party to have the conversation, that what threw her was Danny saying he didn't think this conversation was happening tonight. And we see the unseen footage of this. So let me be clear here. I mean, I could see why he thought that if this was, remember, months after the incident, that, okay, I don't know why we're doing this right now. Dude, okay. Also, you were going to have to do this on camera regardless. Did it matter when? It was going to be brought up. Sorry, Danny. I don't know what to tell you, bud. It was going to happen. But Jasmine felt like she could bring it up whenever she wanted to because it happened to her. And she was upset because apparently Melissa never got an apology, though. Sounds like he had only spoken to Jasmine up until that point. And really, for Jasmine, she feels that she wasn't being treated really with the same respect and given the same type of apology that someone like Kristen, for example, or Janet would have received if it had happened with them. And Danny thought that they were good at that point. But Jasmine says she's explaining to him that his apology at the white party felt like shit. And to be fair on both sides, yeah, he was embarrassed and anxious about doing this on camera. And you were experiencing, Jasmine, having to have this conversation that was uncomfortable for you and hoping to receive the respect and apology you deserved. And really, for you, Jasmine, those expectations were set and he didn't meet you where he should have, in my opinion. It has to be explained that Danny felt caught off guard when he expressed that he felt that Jasmine was doing this to him right now at this white party. And honestly, again, I like Danny, but that was shitty to come into a conversation like that with it. I'm not sugarcoating it. That was shitty to come in that way, Danny. And that's where I'm saying Jasmine did have reasonable expectations of that conversation and he didn't meet them. I get it. But Nia agrees that absolutely Jasmine deserves that. And it's hard for these reality TV newbies that are, seeing and saying this here. Basically, yeah, they'd had these conversations already off camera, and it's hard for them to recognize now they have to have them again for the cameras. And this is something that is a little weird, and they're just going to have to adjust to. And I get it. But hey, you signed up for it, my loves. I'll say again, look, it was important and a great lesson to be had where Jasmine and Melissa's relationship wasn't given the same respect it would have been given if one of them were a man. Now, Jasmine gets tearful and tells Jason how much she appreciates him having her back. And this is where it takes kind of an odd turn for me. And it almost, this Jasmine saying this to him fires him up in a weird way to me, because he says he's having a hard time holding in his emotions because he feels like that interaction was disgusting, as in what happened between Danny and Jasmine and Melissa. And listen, I just, it's hard for me to reconcile this whole thing when it comes to Janet and Jason's intense level of involvement in this, because he and Janet were not there. And yes, I agree that that Danny and Jasmine both relaying what happened is enough, but he and Janet were not there to witness it. And this is the thing too. I thought this whole time that Jason had seen this happen by the way he relayed the story. So I'm a little confused why in confessional at the top of the season, it was Jason retelling the story in confessional and not Jasmine. It should have been Jasmine, unless she said she didn't want to. But I have a hard time believing she said that when she has spoken on it in confessional multiple times. Why was Jason telling that story for her? And that's where it kind of bothers me now. Why are Janet and Jason continuously telling the story for her and Melissa? It's a back and forth now about Danny questioning why this whole thing was brought up again. And it was he said this on the after show, mind you. It was a misunderstanding, him saying, I don't get why she's bringing this up again. He was actually questioning why Janet was bringing it up again, not why Jasmine was. And both Danny and Nia are saying they fully agree that Jasmine is allowed to bring it up again. It's obnoxious for Janet to continuously bring up something that she was not even a witness to. But this triggers Jason, who goes off saying, you are a clown, dude. You are a total clown. You better never what, Jason? Never what, or you're gonna what? Go make sure he has wrinkles in his jeans forever. Poke some holes in his pillows. Gonna loosen the caps on all his water bottles. What the hell are you gonna do, Jason, for crying out loud? Janet chimes in that she's glad she continued talking about it because it's happened multiple times since. And Nia tells her that she is making it sound as though Danny runs around grabbing women when he drinks and that it's wrong. But Janet continues on saying that Danny has been inappropriate and making women uncomfortable multiple times since, and as recently as the Super Bowl. But Nia and Danny tell her, no, that is straight up a lie. And Nia says, you're very good at lying, Janet. Wait. Janet is going to get it next episode. I wouldn't be surprised if she had good as gold posters on her walls. Because we're good as gold. Okay, besties, thank you again for joining today. Do your girl a solid. It's free, I promise. Do me a favor. It's free. It's free. It's free. It's free. Leave a 5-star review wherever it is you listen to this podcast. And if you could leave a little comment about what you do love about the show, it's the best way to support this little podcast. Okay, my friends. If you are watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the convo, all the things. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and like I said, subscribe to YouTube. It's at Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin. And my friends, I will see you next week. I know I've got Secret Lives coming out. I've been up to my eyeballs lately. Besties, we're working through it, but it is coming. I think I've been saying that for 2 months now. It's coming. I swear. I love you so much. Anyway, thank you again for joining me. Have a wonderful back end of your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.